Hi, Elsa. Thanks for allowing us to record our final project for Interior Design 400. Kylie and I put this project together on the tiny home, and we're excited to show you our design. So our tiny home was designed for a young couple in the early 30s. They don't have any children. They both work in tech and are able to work fully remote. But because they love being so close to nature, they thought now is a good time to buy some land in Shasta County and build that peaceful and quiet home that they've always wanted. They purchased their land for $40,000 and they have about $80,000 for materials to build. They're really looking to build a beautiful A-frame house. They want the high ceilings, but they also want to keep a cozy cabin feel, but included with all modern finishes. They do have some friends in the area that do want to come visit. They love to barbecue outside, so an outdoor area that provides warmth and where they can barbecue is really important. They're also environmentalists, so they enjoy gardening and they enjoy having fresh produce grown on their property, and reusing and upcycling items that they find or buy throughout their day. In terms of site orientation and floor plan here, the length of the house is going to run east-west, with the front of the house facing south and the back of the house with the bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom facing north. The home is 30 feet in length and 13 feet in width for a total of 390 square feet. There is a lofted bedroom you can see off to the right-hand side, and the total square footage of that is 112.5. The ceiling height in the bedroom is 6 feet, making the height of the kitchen and bathroom that's right below that level only 7 feet. And the living room ceiling, there's nothing above the living room. It's floor to ceiling 13 feet. And in terms of airflow, there is a lot of circulation throughout because we decided to install windows on every wall of the house. The front of the house has a door and 2 small windows that, along with the window in the kitchen and the bath, that's going to allow for great cross ventilation. There's also windows on either side of the living room to allow for ventilation in that direction as well. We did include exhaust ventilation for all necessary appliances within the tiny home. This is just a zoomed in view of the floor plan. So again, we have that closet, bathroom, and kitchen. They're pretty long and narrow, but provides everything that they should need under the bedroom. And then that living room is going to offer those vaulted ceilings. You'll notice that there is a ladder there off to the left-hand side that does slide, so they can move it into the center of the room when they want to get up to the bedroom, and then move it off to the side so it's not in the way of the bathroom and the kitchen during the daytime. And then you'll notice I did include some outdoor furniture and fire pit and barbecue to have friends over and enjoy the outdoors. We planted some deciduous trees on the south and west side of the property, and they're going to provide great shade in the summer months. But in the winter, when they lose their leaves, it's going to provide adequate sunlight penetration to provide warmth. And the evergreen trees will be planted on the north side to provide wind blocking, because they keep their leaves all year round. And we'll be planting these trees in groups, but we'll leave enough room so that there is a breeze that will allow for ventilation throughout the tiny home. We have overhangs from the roof to control for heat in summer. Our flooring is bamboo and absorbs heat fairly well. And the window treatments and shades are going to be installed on all windows to keep the heat in during the cold winter months and block the heat during the hot summer months.
Perfect. And then I'm just going to go into the structural and housing elements that we have. And we're going to be talking about all these various different items. So starting off with our foundation, we decided to go with the slab foundation and really build it out with layers. So the first layer is going to be the gravel layer. And this is basically to allow trapped gas that's in the soil that's leached out to have air to move around in and not create like a radon kind of bomb. And then next will be the closed cell rigid foam insulation. And this will just act as heat retention for the entire house and create a very energy efficient home. And it's also going to be on the siding of our house to create that house envelope that we talked about in class. The polyethylene membrane is a vapor barrier that we're including. so that any liquid or gas barriers, or sorry, any liquid or gas vapor is stopped before entering into the slab, which we have made out of fly ash, which is a recycled material and is stronger than cement on its own. Um, and then going into our framing, so we went with an advanced framing technique, or the optimal value engineering, OVE, which will be mentioned throughout this kind of presentation. And basically, this is to decrease overall waste, whether it's labor or materials. It's really decreasing how much is being wasted with on this throughout this project. The FSC materials that we have are going to be including lumber and OSB boards. So those are basically what's going to be going on the outside, um, basically going to be the end piece of that house envelope. And the FSC materials basically means that it's resourceful and respectful for the forest, and it's gathered responsibly, basically. And so that's including our studs, mounts, joints, all of it. Then we went in with a dense pack cellulose insulation, which is actually an 80% post-consumer material. So it's a recycled material. However, it's not recyclable once we have the fire retardant put onto it, but it is degradable. So over time it will degrade, but it isn't recyclable, unfortunately, afterwards. It does have a higher R value per square foot than a fiber or fiberglass insulation does, and it's much more energy efficient. Our roofing is super cool. It's a vegetative roofing system. So the advantages of having this is basically it's an insulative property. It has a sound barrier. It manages storm runoff water better, and it absorbs CO2 and encourages pollination. It's also just a really great talking point to have on your house. As you can see over here on the right side, the first layer is not shown here, but it's going to be those OSB boards that were previously mentioned as our starting layer that's against the roof. And then we went in with a waterproofing membrane, and ours specifically is a company called Shark Skin. It's not actually made out of shark skin, but it's a recyclable and resilient material. So again, going along with that sustainable side of things. And then will come a root barrier. So making sure that the roots from the plants that are on this roof aren't penetrating into the inside, basically, which would be a huge problem for various and obvious reasons. Then we're going to have a drainage layer. So making sure water has a place to escape and not just sit and fester. A fiber cloth and growing medium. So that's basically just the soil, the moss that goes along with it, and then the actual plants themselves that will act as another insulative and heating property for this house. Oops, sorry. Also included on our roofing is an overhang and gutters, as previously mentioned. But basically, the overhang in the summertime will prevent sun from warming up the house too much. And in the wintertime, it'll help make sure that the water isn't going onto the house and flooding around the perimeters. And the gutters, same thing. The gutters are going to be collecting rainwater and going into a big storage bin so that the family can use it for whatever needs that they have. But really hanging on to that rainwater as it is a pretty important resource. All right, and then going into plumbing and water, we actually went with a polypropylene pipe, which is basically less toxic and has less leaching properties than normal PVC piping or anything that any other alternative. It's better for the air and soil quality for those leaching or non-leaching properties. Then we're going in with a foam insulated pipe, so making sure that those pipes are safe with some insulated foaming that's also moisture tolerant. So that was also really important. We do have solar water heating for this house. So another way to warm up the water instead of relying just on electricity and the water pump. And we do have stormwater from runoff that will be collected, as mentioned before, in the gutters and will be stored for, whatever needs that they may have. It is fresh water, obviously. So for the indoor environmental and quality and finishes, we basically went with a bamboo flooring, which is super resilient, sustainable. It's it's fast growing, it's easy to harvest, and it's not degrading to the environment around it where it's growing. It's also very resistant, so they won't have to replace it for, if it was a regular hardwood floor, that obviously gets scratched up and it's harder to keep nice. So it has a little bit less upkeep involved. And then we went with an eco paint. So this specific brand, Ecos paint, is non-toxic, has 0 volatile organic compounds, which is really important for air quality, and just, polluting less into the air in the house environment itself. Onto heating and ventilation. We do, as Claire mentioned, the cross ventilation was super important with the windows and the exterior ventilation from exhaust pipes and stuff. We also will be including window treatments, so making sure that in the summertime we're able to pull down those, the shades or whatever it is that they're having included, to provide some shade and make sure that the sun is kind of blocked. But also in the winter, it kind of helps insulate the tiny home by not letting, windows be an escape route for that warm air. Again, as mentioned, the landscaping is really important for the heating of this house. So making sure that we have trees in, various directions, depending on their seasonal, value. So deciduous trees in the south and west, shading during the summer, and then evergreens in the north blocking high winds. We do have, we have ceiling fans as well to make sure that there's proper airflow throughout the house and just kind of circulate the air that is in there already. And we do have a wall-mounted ductless mini split system. So basically this acts as a heater, a backup heater, and a backup cooling air conditioner for the house. But we really did want to design this house so that it was self-sufficient, that it was able to heat itself and cool itself based on the materials and the finishes that were included in the design. So that was really important. But this mini split system is kind of just acting as a backup for intense, weather purposes. Moving on to appliances, all of our appliances that can be Energy Star rated are, so that includes the dishwasher, refrigerator, washer and dryer, and the range hood. Unfortunately, right now, there's not any stove or oven that is Energy Star rated, but the family, once that is an available option, they will probably include that. There is LED and thoughtful lighting. So what that means is basically LED lighting obviously is better for the environment. It's, it's a more of a sustainable option. But what we mean by thoughtful lighting is putting lights in areas where we're really understanding how the family is going to be working in that station. So, having a light over the sink versus it being behind them and shading, when they're doing the dishes, things of that nature. And then, as mentioned before, all of the wood is going to be FSC, and that includes our cabinets in the kitchen. We do have a small amount of cabinetry in the kitchen, so for that reason, we decided to go with FSC. It might not be the most financial, option for many other projects, but because it's a smaller project, we decided to go with it. And as well as butcher block countertops. So that will require a little bit more of upkeep, but it is more of a sustainable option than some other options out there. In terms of renewable energy sources, they do have solar panels on top of that vegetated roofing as well. So really heating, the house and getting their electricity from solar panels was really important. And a future installation that Claire and I thought would be really important was making sure that they had all the plumbing and essentials needed for a gray water recycling pump and tank later on. It is very pricey, so that would be a down the road kind of installation, but we wanted to make that, an option for them. This is just our kitchen spec sheet. So, all things that were mentioned before, Energy Star rated appliances, sustainable wood, and that drywall, which is mold and moisture resistant. And then this is our GPC checklist. Claire, I don't know if you want to go over this.
Yeah, I can cover this pretty quickly. So we went through the entire checklist. Some items were TBD, but for the most part, we were including a lot of the energy efficient and green star rated products. So with points achieved, we're 244 out of the 342 available. And you can see the breakdown here for each of those categories: community, energy, air quality, health, resources, and water. So I think we did pretty good on these fronts, but there's always some room for improvement. So we'll keep those as the planning continues. And then I'll quickly go ahead and cover just our mood board and some of the designed elements that we liked for this tiny home. So on the outside, we did want it to be an A-frame. We wanted this very dark look to it. So this was some inspiration here. And if you keep going forward, we thought it would be a really great design to make the most of the space by building in a bookshelf, but it's actually on a hinge and it is a door into the bathroom. So it gives that extra storage and is functional as well. Lofted bedroom, nothing too special here. The purpose is just for the bed, nothing else. And we wanted to make this big enough and comfortable enough to sleep in, but that's the only purpose it serves, so that we could leave enough space below for the kitchen and bathroom. We do have a ladder. It is on a slider, so it can be moved in the middle of the room when you want to access the bed, and then it can be moved off to the side during the day when you want to access the bedroom and kitchen more easily. Sorry, bathroom and kitchen more easily. Very simple bathroom. We really like this clean lines, nice bathtub to enjoy the view from. And next slide. Really simple galley kitchen. Everything's going to be on one side there. But we liked some of these darker cabinets with the lighter tiles and some shelving. Another source of inspiration. Living room, we want this really cozy feel. So some leather couches. Yeah. And then the last photo here just shows that since we are in an A-frame, we wanted to include some extra storage at the top. Since we do have that removable ladder that can be moved around the room, we thought it would be great to add the storage bins. And finally, the dining area is just going to be overlooking one of the windows that will open with 2 bar stools for the 2 occupants of that house. And if they do decide to have guests, we've taken that into consideration, put a fire pit, chairs, barbecue, eating areas outside.
I think that's it.
And that's it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for listening to our presentation. All right, let me end.